So today we're watching an all-time teen drama classic, aka my literal favorite teen drama of all time, possibly TV show of all time. Friends is up there, you know, good laughs, just comfort. But this reigned my high school years. It wasn't currently on when I was in high school, but it's what I watched and lived off of through high school and watched. This would be the 9th time I would be watching it. Still, every time I watch it, it's like it's brand new to me, and I love that. There's some details you forget about, especially when there's 9 seasons. And if you can't already tell what we're watching One Tree Hill, the pilot. Because Sophia Bush, aka Brooke Davis, aka the best female character of all time, Hilarie Burton, Peyton Sawyer, not biggest fan of Peyton, but we love her, and Bethany Joy Lenz, Haley Jane Scott, have put together a podcast, a rewatch podcast, Rewatching One Tree Hill. My dream come true. I listened to the first episode, it was great, but as I'm recording this, tomorrow the first actual rewatch episode comes out, and I couldn't be more excited, but I thought I'd refresh myself with the pilot. I have a video where I went on a solo trip all by myself about 2 years ago to Covington, Georgia for Vampire Diaries, and Wilmington, North Carolina to see One Tree Hill and Dawson's Creek things. That video is right here. If you want to go and check that out. Out of all the shows that I love, One Tree Hill is the one I have the most merch from. When I came back from that trip, I had a drawer. I had this little Nathan Scott jersey way ahead of time, and I got this for my 20th birthday. It's on the back, it says Tree Hill Ravens. I have some unpopular opinions about the show, and I'm ready to talk about them as I'm rewatching this pilot. The only downside to this pilot is one of my favorite pilots of all time. The only downside, Brooke Davis does not appear in this pilot. Not until the 2nd episode. Why? Tragic. Don't know. Looks like a baby, he's 17. Whitey. We stan Whitey. Dan Scott. I watched this throughout high school when my brother was playing basketball, and I really got into basketball watching my brother, and I was also in One Tree Hill, so it was like I was learning and like...
going into tonight's contest. It sucks.
Freaking mouth. When you like see high school basketball, it's not far off from this, honestly. Parents get into this sport more than the kids sometimes.
He's currently playing without a shoe contract, Mouth.
Without a shoe contract. Mouth and Jimmy took it so seriously those first. I don't know why they kind of let go of Jimmy. I feel like it would have been an interesting character arc to the point of, you know, his big episode of... Because we didn't spend enough time with him to almost fully envelop ourselves in that whole scenario, which was a huge episode. Music was such a big part of this show. It was literally it was a character in this show, and I find that so cool. You don't see that anymore very often, that music is basically another character in the show. So unpopular opinion number 1, I grew up with a Cinderella story, the OG, and then watching this, Chad Michael Murray, not as attractive as everybody always hypes him up to be, in my opinion. Not my type. I'm a Nathan girl. Like, Nathan... I didn't like Lucas as a character either, but, like, the fact that, like, oh my god, Chad Michael Murray, I was like, I don't really personally see it, but okay, go off. This is privilege at its peak.
Chief Wayman, following players were not involved and will not be reprimanded. Jake Jagielski. Ruben Gutierrez.
A moment for Jake Jagielski. Can we take the character he could have been?
Players involved are suspended from extracurricular activities, specifically basketball.
I hate it. I remember watching it for the first time, like, Nathan got off. Oh, they really care. This country really cares about sports, like, so much to where they will not, like, they'll let their team players go off.
Peyton Sawyer.
I wasn't a Peyton fan. I loved Brooke. Brooke had a better character development. Is Haley James. But she was Haley James and Karen. A good Karen. A great Karen.
Actually, I found it. I mean, sorry, not that I was, like, looking for something specifically, which implies some hideous sort of Joey Loves Dawson scenario.
The fact that they're like, Joey Loves Dawson. Dawson's Creek was at the end of its run during this time. So, love that. Dawson's Creek was a pivotal pop culture moment.
Take a load off.
Keith.
You, got a second? Oh, I got a lot of seconds.
It still hurts.
Haven't you
Keith.
heard?
So this is, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or just an opinion. The fact that they gave Dan a kind of hero arc, like, they almost gave him for killing Keith. And, like, Keith kind of forgave him, you know, in the whole world in his, like, death episode. I hated that I, like, got sad in that episode. Like, they humanized him in that way. When you hated him the entire show, like, he was a horrible person. Just, like, as I rewatch every time, it's terrible. What is she doing? So that's he who shall not be named, who is a dirt pig. His face, creator of the show.
You know what? You want to be a bitch? That's cool. Just sit in your closet, listen to your loser rock, and I'll see you tomorrow.
How about you don't see me tomorrow?
It's fine by me. Like, I don't have other options.
He was a dick. He was an absolute dick. A dick. Also, it's completely different house. That's the thing I love about pilots and going back, is that what they use in the first episode versus the rest of the series is completely different. They do the pilot just to test to see if it's going to be okay. But the rest of the show, it's completely different. They change things up. This is just kind of a test. So the house is not the same house.
Your son to play?
Don't call him that.
She's got her last name, Dad.
Well,
What did she... I can't remember if they ever explained why she did give him their last name and not hers. I think they did. I just don't remember what it was.
Not afraid of him, Dad.
Well, you should be. We've worked too hard at anyone coming in now, disrupting the offense, taking away shots.
It honestly scares me. Like, it's ridiculous that there are parents that exist like this. Seriously, it's a game. If it's not going to be their whole life, chill out. Even if it is going to be their whole life, chill out. So much pressure on them. I mean, he eventually turns to steroids.
What do you want?
What do I want? What do you want, man? I mean, other than my girlfriend and my spot in the lineup.
Huh?
So,
Iconic.
Nathan challenged you. Are you gonna play him? Yeah, I guess. Don't you
David
just
and
wanna show
Haley.
it sometimes? So, like, what are ravens? I mean, you know, more than one.
Kindness. Like, kindness of ravens. Oh, I always wanted to read that book. Oh, as much as I'm not a fan of Lucas and Peyton, I'm not a fan of Lucas and Brooke either, just to be clear. I'm not a really fan of Lucas, so him with anyone. I was a Jake and Peyton. That could have been something. This is an iconic scene either way. What does he say? He says first, that's me inside your head, right? That's me inside your head. That's me inside your head.
What?
No effects.
No effects.
Peyton, the first season, is kind of... I mean, she's nice, but in this first episode, they portray her as really attitude bitchy. You know, like she gave attitude for, like, no reason kind of thing. Kind of pissed at the world kind of attitude. I know she's with Nathan. Speaking of... Apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
You ever had something that you knew that you were better at than almost anybody else?
Sex. Joke.
Written by a man, right there. You can totally tell. They talked about in their podcast or in, like, interview or something like that. The show was clearly written by men, and, like, it's not how teenage girls spoke. It isn't. The iconic bridge. That bridge. I wanted to get out and take a photo on that bridge. It's a sketchy neighborhood, though. And I was a girl, alone, in a city.
Nathan.
This was the weirdest scene ever.
What's up, Dad?
The fact that they gave him nipple rings, why?
Hi, Mr. Sky.
Haley listening in from behind?
I am not listening.
Okay, I was. I am. Right.
Haley's personality, I think, changes throughout the first season and second drastically. She goes from just, like, very outgoing, like, nonchalant, not caring, to, like, shy and timid for a second when she's around Nathan, and then a whole, like, very insecure person when she goes on tour. So, are you gonna be my girl? I feel like this is in every 2000s teen movie. iconic basketball game. Iconic. I love the season 4 finale. It's one of my favorite finales, I think, because it mirrors this moment and their progress, and it could have easily been a series finale. To be alive, well, I was alive during the time, but like, to be a teenager in this era of television, it's Luke for the win. How they go from Scott for the win to Luke for the win, because they're both Scott. And the music. I find it so weird, but so, like, great storytelling, how in the first season, Luke and Nathan basically switch personalities. Luke goes down a terrible road with Brooke and Peyton and does terrible, shitty things, and then Nathan kind of comes back around and does some good through Haley. Great storytelling through that part of it.
I'll be
seeing you. Later, it's your art matters. That's what got me here. They had some iconic moments. Lucas and Peyton, not gonna lie, had iconic moments. But Nathan and Haley were it. End shot. End shot. Still an iconic pilot. Like I said, I have a lot of unpopular opinions about this show. And also just opinions. Like I said, I wasn't a Lucas and Peyton fan. I wasn't a Brooke and Lucas fan, you know. I had ups and downs with Brooke and Peyton as a friendship, you know. I had unpopular opinions of I loved Brooke and Nathan as a friendship, but I would not have been mad if it turned into a relationship if Nathan and Haley didn't exist, you know. I don't know if it's unpopular. I don't really... The 5 years forward, I get why it was done, because usually there's a historical thing of shows that go through high school and then try to follow them into their characters into college, usually go down in ratings dramatically in college, and then they end. So they decided to try to beat that, and they ran for 4 more seasons after that. But I remember watching the 4th or 5th episode in the 5th season, which is where they go back and they kind of show you what happened within those 5 years that you missed. And I really wish we kind of would have seen more of that, you know? I don't know if I would say maybe spend a season on it and then go kind of those 5 years forward. Oh, or no, I feel like you could have done a lot with their college years. Because Brooke went off and did something and became a great fashion designer mogul. I would have loved to seen that progress. Peyton's story might not have been very interesting. I mean, 5 years, what was she doing 5 years later? She was working at a record label kind of place. Lucas, you know, his progression into writing a book, that would have been interesting. Nathan and Haley learning to be parents would have been so interesting, and seeing Jamie being born, and we saw Jamie being raised and them kind of figuring it out. Because I remember seeing like a little, like, you saw a little glimpse of what they were like dealing with him. But like, I think it would have been a very interesting story to see more of that in between the 5 years. Because the 5 years forward was kind of boring and very overdramatic. I mean, season 5 alone was just a train wreck. Thank God it was short. Season 6 was honestly pretty good. 7 introduced new people. 8 and 9 just kind of... 9 is a whole different ball. 9 was a whole different genre, honestly. With the kidnapping and everything, was weird. But it is one of the greatest series finales I remember. It's One Tree Hill. There's only one Tree Hill, and it's your home. This will be one of my comfort like shows I will go back to and watch nonstop. I've watched this 9 times. The second like teen drama I've watched close to the amount of times is weirdly Gossip Girl. I've watched that about 5 times. And I don't know why, because literally everything about that show, I hate it. I hate it. So many things about that show that are terrible, yet it's so addicting. I'm really excited for the reboot. I might be filming a reaction to that. If you liked this, please subscribe to my channel. This is kind of what I'm starting to do now. And like this video if you really liked One Tree Hill. And come back for my next video, which is another, like I hinted, another teen drama from this time. One of my favorite episodes, and I think one of the best episodes in television history in terms of story and editing. Enough that I wrote a paper on it. Peace out, Tree Hill.